listening to, I say you are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Thank you. You make Grandma Strayer very happy. Anyhow, to all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world, I welcome you to another George Espinlove Show. And we got a doozy for you tonight, because by the time we're done, you'll never look at a signature the same way that you used to. Not even your own. I'll guarantee it. And perhaps by the time our guest is through with us tonight, maybe some of you out there will become handwriting experts and become an analyst. So, saying that, we come to you live Monday through Friday from the Funny Farm. That's right, from the Funny Farm. You heard me correctly. In a place called Our World. Our world is safe. It's much safer than your world. We don't have a post office, a postmaster, a post delivery person, nor do we have a mailbox, but we sure do have email. George C.E., that's George C.E. at Comcast.net, George C.E. at Comcast.net. And thank you. We get email from all over the world, and when we get emails from all over the world, we jump up and down. Some of us does backflips. Well, not all the way around. We end up falling on the floor. But nonetheless, we get all excited, and we really do goofy things. But then you have to remember, this is the Funny Farm. So, keep on doing funny things, or crazy things, or goofy things. Email us, GeorgeCE at Comcast.net. It is a delight, and I'm going to bring our guest on here in just a few moments. It's a delight to have this man with us tonight. Before we go any further, this is what I want to tell you. Let me move this little mousy thing over here yeah, okay. Anyhow, where was I? Oh, yes. Our call-in number for comments and questions to our guest, 302-497-3414. That number again is 302-497-3414 for comments and questions. Or if you have Skype, Skype me, George.Espinlove, Espenlaub. And now, we are going to bring Mr. Bob Baier on with us, and he is going to take us into the fascinating world of handwriting analysis. Bob, welcome to the George Espinlove Show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited, and I know that other people are excited. I know that people that are listening to us live right now and people that will listen to us later are all going to be excited. And I told the audience, no one will look at their signature or anyone else's signature the same way they used to look at it before by the time you're done with us.
I think that's probably true. No question.
Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, or a whole bunch about yourself?
Yes, I will. And I'm going to toot my own horn here for a couple of minutes. But I really have found when I speak at conferences or whatever, people really do want to know, who is this guy? What has he done? Why should I listen to him? But when I'm done with this, then hopefully I will not toot my own horn again for the rest of the time, period. So I'm a certified handwriting expert and a certified forensic document examiner. I graduated from the Handwriting University's School of Forensic Document Examination. I have 3 degrees in Associate of Science, Bachelor of Science, and Master of Arts. And as a matter of fact, any of my friends that have ever watched me speak or anything like that, they told me after, Baier, I think you gained the most knowledge when you went for your BS degree. So, I don't know. I think I need new friends. But I'm a certified New York State law enforcement instructor, and I train law enforcement in 7 different areas, one of which is document examination, but also handwriting analysis, statement analysis, identity theft, bogus checks, criminal mind, handwriting, pedophiles, and handwriting. Let's see. I've trained law enforcement in different states, New Hampshire, Maine, Indiana, as well as New York. I trained cadets. I was a faculty member of the Handwriting University, International School of Forensic Document Examination. I've been on television shows, Inside Edition, Law Talk TV, and this fall I will also be on the show, the History Channel, for Canada, in a show called Treasures Decoded, also in Europe and Asia, and in the United States this fall on Smithsonian Channel in a series called Secrets with a Vinland Map. I've been on radio and in the ESPN magazine. I've spoken at national conferences all over the country. And I'm an author of the book Identity Theft Prevention for the College Student. So with that, I'm done tooting my own horn, and I would love to be able to give you folks some information.
Tooting your own horn is what it's all about, because you're the expert and we're not.
Okay. I'd like to start by simply stating that I'm a full-time document examiner at this point. And there are 2 separate fields of handwriting experts. One is, of course, the document examination. They are usually allowed to testify in court, although every time you go to court, you have to be accepted as an expert by that particular judge. Doesn't matter if you've been to court 300 times. That judge has to qualify you as an expert. I have rendered an opinion in 26 different states and 3 different countries, but it makes no difference. When I go to court next time, that judge has to accept me. The other field is called handwriting analysis, also sometimes coined graphology, graphoanalysis, which is really a copyrighted name. Handwriting analysis is really being able to tell personality characteristics of a person from their handwriting. But what I'd like to do first is just talk about document examination, and then later we will talk about the handwriting analysis. Let's see.
When a judge qualifies or disqualifies you as a witness, what's the procedure for that?
First of all, I furnish my client's attorney with 5 typewritten pages of questions to ask me that make me look like $1 million. Mm-hmm. Then you have cross-examination with the opposing attorney. The only job of the opposing attorney is to make you look like a piece of garbage.
Right.
And they do it every day, all day, and they're pretty good at it. So they are trying to discredit you in whatever they can. You know, the school you went to is no good. The training you went to is no good. The teachers they'll go on and on. And then the judge makes a determination. But every time I have ever gone to court, I have been accepted as an expert. I really do have decent credentials.
That answered that. Yeah. I just wondered about that.
Yeah. And some of the questions, I'll tell you what, it's, I don't think it's real fun testifying as an expert. Here's one question. By the way, and I do think that covering this material this evening, it is possible to learn and have some fun. So I'm kind of hoping your listeners also enjoy it and have a couple of laughs along the way. But I had one question asked me the opposing examiner, and it was like a brilliant question. It's like no way out. Mr. Baier, do you ever lie? Now, you got 12 jury members sitting over there watching you. If you have to be honest on the stand, you cannot ever lie. Your career is over. Uh-huh. So if you say yes, how are they going to know to ever believe you? during anything you say. If you say no, they're going to know you're a liar. So the proper answer in response to that is, Mr. Baier, do you ever lie? Never, under oath.
Ah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So it just slams them and they got no place to go. So you have to think about these things sometimes. So let's keep moving on here, if I may. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to begin with, like, what type of cases do I do as a document examination? You know, what does a document examiner do? A document examiner really has multiple tasks. He determines the writer of a document. Was that signature on that document written by Jim Smith or by a different author? And also, was the document altered? Did somebody remove a paragraph and put a paragraph in? Were all of the inks written by the same pen? Was the check altered? Were there numbers added onto the check? Instead of a check for $3, it's now $3,000. You know, was that what he put on it? There is different types of fonts. Was the type material the same? One paragraph different. All of a sudden, the font changes. We put grids over the documents like a will to see if everything lines up. Are the margins all the same? You know, is the signature line slanted in some way? Did somebody do a cut and paste from Photoshop or some other software? So there's a lot of different things that we do besides the handwriting, but the handwriting is a major, major part of it. So some of the document types that I work on are checks, wills, deeds, contracts. I do agreements, anonymous writings, hate crime, suicide notes, disguised writing, writings on walls, cars, bathrooms. I've even had a couple of murder cases. So I had to determine, you know, was the writing left at the crime scene done by the writer or whatever, which was an interesting case in and of itself. I thought the attorney was tremendous. And I was actually surprised it was an assigned counsel plan where the murder suspect really didn't have enough money to pay for an attorney, so the attorney was assigned to him. Mm-hmm. And this attorney called me and said, Bob, we already know he had something to do with his girlfriend's death. That's not in question. But I need to know if the 3 notes left at the crime scene were written by him. If they were, I needed to be able to defend him by going into the right direction. If they weren't written by him, I can best defend him by going to the left direction. So I actually was very impressed with that attorney, that he was doing a heck of a job for him. Mm-hmm. My most common case used to be wills, and I still get a bunch of them. All of a sudden, and it was always 2 weeks after the last parent died, one of the siblings showed up, and they would have a brand new will. Nobody ever heard of it, and of course they didn't have the original, and nobody else was in it but them. And it was always exactly 2 weeks after. But you have to be able to prove, without an original, that that is not the signature of the parents or whatever the situation is. Now one of my most common ones are financial statements from car dealerships or loans or mortgages, where all of a sudden the interest rate they were going to get was 4.2, and they were asked to sign the document, then they had to leave, and all of a sudden they get another one in the mail. It's not their signature. Now it's 9.8. And I had one poor girl. She put $15,000 down, and now all of a sudden, no, there was no down payment. Ooh. So you know that's one of my most common ones too. In terms of how many cases I do, oh man, I have so much work. I don't even know what to do with it. When the economy's down, crime's up, and boy is that a fact. Unfortunately, I usually work 7 days a week. I'm in my office from 6:30 in the morning, usually till late at night. I'm happy to have the work. There's an awful lot of people out there that are out of work, and I'm fortunate, but boy, it's just a lot of hours.
Is there
let's see.
Is there a lot of other handwriting analysis people or experts out there?
For document examiners, nobody's ever actually been able to come up with a number. It's probably more than what people would normally think, because it is kind of an unusual profession. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking in New York alone, there's probably 15, just in the city area. There's been a number thrown out as 2,000 nationwide, but I really have no idea of knowing that. I think it's probably less. There are a couple of states that don't have any at all.
If I could interrupt you right here,
Yeah.
I'm curious. How did you ever get into this line of work?
Okay, let me try and make the story brief because I really wanted to help the listeners, but I was a teacher previously. Mm-hmm. And as a teacher, you always had to have 2 or 3 jobs. I was saving businesses money on telecommunications and natural gas. And I would always ask them after I proved myself and saved the company money, what else is killing you financially? Every company said the same thing. It's not really financial. But I just went through 80 resumes. I interviewed 20 people. I hired who I thought was the best, and they were horrible. And then all of a sudden I heard on a radio station in New York City, job placement through handwriting analysis. That's how it all started. I figured, let me learn this stuff. I can help these people by hiring the right people, the person for them. And so I took one course, took another course, and then eventually became an expert on the handwriting analysis part. And then a school for private practice opened up for document examination. It was one of the only ones in the country. I said, boy, this is a great transition for me. I'll go from the teaching right into this. And I took the courses for 2 years nights, and here I am.
Wow. Okay.
20,000 documents later, over 900 cases later.
Mm. Okay, that answered my question. Go ahead.
All right. How do I solve cases? What does a document examiner actually do? Every single adult writer has handwriting habits that are unique to themselves. Normally, this is a visual type presentation, and if I have an audience in front of me, as they walk in, I ask them to fill out an envelope. I say, put my address in the front, and then put their own return address on the top left, and then they all do it. And then what I do is I ask everybody to hold up the envelope, and I'll pick 3 randomly out of however many are there to see the handwriting habits that are different. One person writes very large, and they begin my signature way to the left of the envelope. Another one writes real small, and they write down and to the right. But if I had 20 of their envelopes, they'd be the same. Another handwriting habit, just to show you, when you sign your name on a check, some people start 3/8 inches in from the beginning of the signature line. Some people begin way in. Some people begin to the left of the signature line before it even starts. Some people above the line, below the line. But again, if I had 25 samples of their writing, they'd all be almost identical. One more sample. If somebody puts the date 6/26/13, somebody else puts 6-26-13. Somebody else puts June 26-2013. And there would be many derivatives of that, but it even goes deeper than that. Those people who do slashes, one slash is going to be lower than the other. One's going to be higher than the other. The first number is going to be a certain distance from the first slash. The middle numbers are going to be a certain distance. The end numbers are going to be a certain distance. So those habits are all over the place. We like to get 25 samples, known, authentic, provable samples of the person to compare to the one question signature. We go in and study the writing habits of the 25. There could be 30 different habits. Then we go back and look at the question signature to determine if those habits are present. They were present in all 25. They should be present in the question. Then there's something else in our line of work called natural variation. It is the only forensic area that does not remain constant. A fingerprint remains constant, no matter whether I put it here, put it there, 10 years ago. Now, down the line, it's exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Well, in our field, it is not humanly possible to sign your name exactly the same twice during your entire lifetime. It is 193 quintillion to 1, which is 16 zeros and transcends human experience. So when I see a signature that's identical to another signature, I know it's a cut and paste or mechanically altered document.
What was those numbers again?
It was 193 quintillions to 1. It has 16 zeros.
Wow.
Yep. So when people say, yeah, every time I sign my name, it's different. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it will be the rest of your life.
That is
okay,
amazing.
So when we're done with that, we also have 9 shades of gray in our opinions. Basically, I can say that it's absolutely a genuine signature. It is highly probable that it's a genuine signature, probably a genuine signature. There are indications it's a genuine signature, inconclusive, and then it goes the opposite directions. Indications it's non-genuine, probably non-genuine, highly probable non-genuine, and absolutely non-genuine. I cannot use the term forgery either in court or in a report. For me to call somebody a forger, that's what the court decides. Oh. All right, that would show intent, and I can't determine intent from the writings. That's one little blip that we have. Let's see. Anonymous writings and how to determine anonymous writings. That's quite interesting. I get companies that contact me, say, we had a hate crime, we have anonymous writings on the bathroom walls, we've got them, I get them all over the place. Doesn't matter where they were. We need to know who wrote it, whether it's a hate crime or not. They really do need to know. And if it's anonymous writings, trying to think how to best explain. Well, first of all, I train law enforcement, and I help them a great deal. And one is, if they can, say you have two suspects. One's a male, one's a female. First of all, 70% of all anonymous writings are females. So if I have two suspects, who am I going to start with?
Female.
Does it mean the female is guilty? No, absolutely not. But I'm certainly going to start with the female, looking at their writings. And the worst language and most disgusting drawings are always female. And 25% of all anonymous or disguised writings were written by the person who's filing the complaint. Wow. Look, I'm getting this hate crime mail. They're saying derogatory things about me. And 25% of those people that do that are the ones that wrote it. So I always request writings of the person who filed the complaint, so that I can compare those. One time I had, for anonymous writings, I had somebody's boss that was actually writing them. I guess they wanted to get rid of them, and so they started writing the anonymous writings and blaming it on somebody else. Wow. So, there's all kinds of different aspects to it. I'm trying to think, request writing. What would be most beneficial to your listeners here? Bogus checks. I'm going to cover bogus checks. Every Walmart, Kmart in the country writes off $250,000, every store, in bogus checks every year. They just write it off like it's part of doing business. Wow. When in actuality, if they had training, they could probably cut it in half. And I honestly believe that. First of all, there's like 7 things you can tell about a check, whether it's genuine or not, without even looking at the writing. Number one, it would have to have perforation on one of the 4 sides, unless it was a government check and a couple of payroll checks. Most of them. The numbers at the bottom, you should not be able to shine light through them. They're opaque. The signature line, by the way, I would like everybody that is listening right now to try and think of where they begin signing their check on the signature line. Then I'm going to tell you there's no such thing as a signature line on a check. Then you're going to tell me I'm full of baloney because you always have a line, you sign on the line. I would like you to enlarge that with at least the 7 power. Maybe you have a hand lens at home. Go grab it and look at the signature line. It is micro printing, and it says signature only, authorized signature, authorized signature, authorized signature, all the way across, or authorized signature only, authorized signature only. It is so microscopic that there is no scanner or no printer known today that can photocopy a check and have that come out intact. It will be a series of random dots. And you'll have a large MP at the end of that signature line on your check. That just simply means it stands for microprinting. So next time you have a hand lens or you get a check out after the show, go look at it.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, there's also, you have state codes. You have 12 federal district codes for those numbers on the check. You have 49 major city prefixes. And those people who create bogus checks don't know about these codes and these prefixes, so they put random numbers in there. For example, the first 2 numbers on your check, for me, for New York, are going to be 50. So if I have an address on the check that's a New Jersey address and there's a 50 to start on the code, there's something wrong there. So if people simply know, like the people the tellers of a bank in a particular city, I mean, they could learn these codes that are supposed to be for them, within a couple of months easily, if it was simply known to them. Some of the other things on the check, if you have an address, or first of all, a check that begins with a number 1 or a 101, or the address is incomplete, those are sometimes bogus checks, but those are just some of the things that you can tell from a check without even looking at the writings. You can look at the habits of the check writer. Some people will put $50 with the word and, 00 over 100. And all of a sudden, 25 of the checks will be like that. Remember we said the habits of the writer? Then you get the question signature or the question check, and it'll be, the and will be a plus sign with a 00 over 100. Now, that's not the habit of the writer. There are so many things you can tell about a bogus check, whether it's bogus or real, whether the writing or not even having the writing. Now, I know that I think I can most beneficially help your listeners by now going through handwriting analysis, if that's okay with you, George.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Now, remember, handwriting analysis is telling personality characteristics from the writer. Unfortunately, in the United States, most people, I would say 95% of everybody, thinks that handwriting analysis is hocus pocus, booga booga, and can you read my palm on the way out? Well, it's true.
Yeah, I get you.
If that were true, why would every branch of the government have a handwriting analysis department? Your Secret Service, FBI, CIA, they all have it. Law enforcement, it's good for law enforcement for their workload. I would like to tell you one story. There's the number one custom enforcement agent in our country is from Miami, Florida, which is not a real shocker, I guess.
Right.
But he says he owes it all to handwriting analysis. He had his regular training, and he uses that when somebody comes through. He watches their eyes, their type of clothing, the type of bag they have, all of the things he was trained in. And they have to have a declaration sheet when they're coming through. And he looks at the declaration sheet. He immediately says, I don't know if I should use the term he says, immediately if there are less than desirable character, that's not the term he uses, I immediately stop them and pull them over and check their bag. You can tell immediately if somebody's a liar. There are criminal tendencies in the handwriting that can be seen. But the biggest part of that is, and again, he's number one in the country. The second best with the most arrests in our country is 50% less arrests. That's how far above everybody else he is.
Wow.
And he does owe it all to handwriting analysis. Handwriting is classified by the Library of Congress as a science, a clinical science, the same category as psychology. If you knew what I could tell about you from your handwriting, you would never show me your handwriting. My kids never. Anybody that knows me, they type everything, and they even sign it with printed typing, and they won't show me the handwriting. Some of the things, and again, because most of your listeners are going to think this is a bunch of bunk. I don't know if I should even say this yet, but I can even tell trauma that has happened to the human body through handwriting. Handwriting is brain writing. Any trauma that the human body has gone through can be determined in the handwriting. If it's the head, it's in the upper zone letters, the L's that go way up, the T's that go way up, any of the letters that go up in the air above the mid zone. If they've had an injury to the leg, it would be in the Y. And I would ask you listeners right now, because you're going to freak some of them out, to make 3 cursive Y's on a sheet of paper with a ballpoint pen. Got to be a ballpoint pen. No liquid marker, no pencil.
Okay.
Make 3 upper zone cursive L's and make 3 mid-zone cursive E's. When they're done, if they ever had a knee injury, it's going to be on the left side of the bottom of the Y loop, and it's going to be a little bit below halfway up. You'll see a tiny dot. We call them pain dots. And that designates the location on the Y, tells me whereabouts on the leg. The Y shows the leg, the lower zone. If the dot is a little bit below, about 4/5 of the way down, it's probably shin or ankle. If it's at the top left of the upper loop on the L, you'll see a tiny dot there, and that designates a head injury. A head injury could be anything from wisdom teeth to concussion to tattoo to stitches. Anything like that would be designated there. If they had a mid-body injury, which is below the, like from armpits to the top of the waist, there would be a tiny dot in the E, again, the top left, just past the crest on the left. And I hope that you tell George, if you found some of these things, I hope you tell George this was kind of neat. Let him know after the show.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, now, there are, first of all, you can tell if somebody is a liar. It's in the letter O. And this is kind of a visual type thing on the radio. It's a little bit more difficult, but I think I could describe it clear enough. If there is a space at the bottom of the O, and we're talking about cursive writing mostly, but it still should show up in a print. If there's a space, it just looks like, the person wrote it at the same speed, but there's just a little space. That person is very deceitful. He's going to try and con you. Now, the lying loops, what we call lying loops, on a cursive O, there's going to be a connecting stroke that's going up. It's going to create the left side of the O. It will then come back down, go all the way underneath to the bottom, and come back up to the top to complete the O. And then it will have a trail or a connecting stroke to the next letter. If somebody's a liar, that initial connecting stroke into the first part of the O is going to create a little loop on the left. And then it will come all the way down and around, and there'll be another loop on the right. Now, those loops can be so large that they create a third loop in between, and they're usually pathological liars. But the person can definitely shade the truth. And by the way, if I'm examining somebody's writings and I'm going through all of the personality characteristics, and I can't say, oh, I see you're a liar, what's the first thing they're going to say? No, I'm not. They're going to lie.
That's right.
So I have to approach it different. And I normally say, well, I can see if you really had to, you could shade the truth. And they will all agree with that. It's not a problem. And the same characteristic, if I see if somebody's stubborn, I don't say, oh, I see you're stubborn, because the average person that really is stubborn, they don't believe they are.
Uh-huh.
They think that, no, I just researched this, and I just know I'm right. I'm not stubborn. So what I have to say is, well, I believe somebody during your lifetime has called you stubborn, and a lot of them will say, yeah, every day. So it can be a lot of fun. And when I don't do this full-time now. It's mostly to help law enforcement with the handwriting analysis now we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But I have done parties, and it's great to have husband and wife at the party. We have the hot seat, and the person that I'm going over their writings, I have the spouse stand behind them. So I'll go through like 10 characteristics, and yeah, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're pretty good, Baier, but, this one thing, that's definitely not me, and you watch the husband behind them nodding his head up and down like, yeah, it is. It gets to be quite fun.
Now, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the letter O, if I would write the word stop, cursive,
yep,
then I could look for these. I could look for these characteristics that you just described.
If you shade the truth, yes.
Okay, I got you. I just
There'll
want
be a loop on the left side of the O going in, and then it'll be a straight all the way down and around like the the horseshoe part, and then there'll be another loop on the right side.
What? Perhaps you can't tell me, but What happens if I come off the T straight across, make my O come straight across to my P?
Okay, you go straight across for a connecting stroke.
Uh-huh.
Then you make a regular O with no loops.
No loops, just a regular O and then straight into my P.
Cross, well, it means that you're a very honest person.
Oh.
And if I was doing job placement, I would need that on a particular job.
I need...
You know, like some people say, should I hire this guy? Yeah, you can hire him. Don't put him on a cash register. Or don't have him in a warehouse where there's an opening. He's going to be shoveling stuff out to his friends and to their car.
That is fascinating. Go ahead.
Okay. There are many handwriting traits of criminals. And by the way, if you do have those shading the truth, don't come out and commit suicide. Some people do shade the truth a little bit because they want to fit in. It doesn't mean they're a criminal, but they just are capable of shading the truth for whatever their reason is.
Right.
Some of the handwriting traits for criminals are, you can see somebody that's basically procrastinates or lazy. That means they cross the T mostly on the left side. So most people there'll be an upstroke, a downstroke that create the stem of the T, and then there'll be a crossing stroke. We call it a T-bar cross. Their crossing stroke will be almost always on the left side. It won't be much on the right side, and that just means they procrastinate. And it doesn't make you that bit of person, but when you combine all of these characteristics, you get the potential of a criminal because they are a little bit lazy. For procrastination, the person is just going to say to himself, you know what, that thing I'm supposed to do, I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And then tomorrow comes, and you know what, I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they just kind of put things off a little bit. And then they have a low self-esteem. I can tell immediately somebody that has a low self-esteem, a high self-esteem. It depends on where they cross their T. If they cross their T right at the top, by the way, all self-made millionaires cross their T at the top. It's right at the very top of the stem. If you cross your T 3/4 of the way up, that's fine. You're an average person. You're able to set and achieve goals, and that's just fine. If you have a low self-esteem, then you're going to be crossing your T very low, and it will be actually below the mid-zone letters. So if you look at the T-bar cross in relation to the letters next to it, it will be a little bit under that. The people who cross their T's very low, if you're going to marry somebody like that, the only way they can feel better about themselves is to put you down. So that's going to get old kind of fast.
Uh-huh.
So we can do relationship compatibilities. We can do job placement. There's so many things. If you, self-improvement, there's so many things that can help people if you know about it. I'm very good friends with a gentleman in Texas. His name is Don Lehew, Lehew. He is probably the foremost authority on pedophiles and their handwriting. He has been given permission to go into the prison systems, and he has figured out about 26 characteristics about pedophiles that are in all of their writings, and he's narrowed it down to about 16 major ones that if the person has about 8 or 10 of those and they're all over the place, then chances are that they are pretty good chance they're pedophile. So if I train law enforcement and I go over a bunch of these things, can they go to court and say, no, look, I looked at their handwriting. But if they got 3 suspects in a child abuse case and supposedly it's a pedophile, and they look at these characteristics and they definitely see him in one and don't see him in the other 2, then bingo, you're dead on. Now you got to start questioning this guy more. It just saves them so much time. I'm trying to think of what else here. You can tell, besides the lying and writing, and by the way, I train our law enforcement in statement analysis. Statement analysis is very interesting. When they're just say verbal, even without handwriting, every single person has a vocabulary, a personal vocabulary. If they change from that vocabulary, then it shows that they're probably lying. Let me give you an example. You got a suspect. You say, write down every single thing you did, or maybe they're on tape. because it's verbal. Tell me everything you did from the time you got up to the time you went to bed, and be very specific. Okay, so the guy, I got up at 8 o'clock, got in my car, and I went to 7-Eleven and got coffee, and then I came home. Then at 10:30, I got in my car, and I went to my friend's house, and we had lunch, a couple of beers, and then I came home. And then at 3 o'clock, I got into my car, and I went over to Susie's house, and when I was done, I got in my vehicle, and I went back to my house. Well, he used car twice, and then after the crime, it became his vehicle. He used house twice, and then he came back to his home, and he changed it after the crime. It's just like went to the house or changed it after the fire. Different things like that. If somebody states, my wife and I went to Kmart shopping, he probably did. If he states, I went to Kmart shopping with my wife, he probably wasn't with his wife. What the heck was the difference?
That's right.
My wife and I, he was close to his wife. He was right next to his wife. He probably went with her. The other one, there's a distance between them. I went to Kmart shopping with my wife. My wife was way at the end. Probably wasn't with his wife. And you also have in the writings, if somebody, finishes a statement about, maybe a third of the way down a page, and then they sign it at the bottom, probably most of what they wrote is a lie. They are trying to distance themselves as much as possible from what they just wrote. Now, I want you to look at people's writings, the listeners at home, because anybody can do this. All you have to do is be told. It would be easier probably if you could see it visually, but I'm going to describe it, and I'm telling you you can see it. The first time you look for it, if you know somebody lied in their writing, here's what's going to happen. It is not possible to lie and not have your writing changed. Not unless you really have a major psychological problem. Even if you're focusing on it and trying to do it right, you can't. I want you to look, the writings will all be the same size going along a line. Then all of a sudden, you're going to see what I call roller coaster writing, where the writing's going to go up and create an arc and come back down. That's where the person lied. I tell law enforcement, back them up in the statement. That's where he lied. I'll tell you the sentence he lied on. I'll tell you the word he lied on. Then the word's going to change. The spacing between the letters or between the words are going to change. If you look at all the spacing along the lines, the line above it, the line of, the line below, the spacing between letters are all going to be the same. Now all of a sudden there's a word. It's darker. It's usually larger or smaller. It's going to change in size, the word he lied on, and the spacing before it or after it's going to change. The pressure into the paper is going to change. My favorite color is blue. All of the words have the same pressure. The word blue is darker. He's lying. There's hundreds of things that you can tell from somebody, whether they're lying or not lying, from their written statement for law enforcement. And I'm telling you, after even one day's training with law enforcement, they can literally go back to their office the next day and use this material. It is not rocket science. You just have to be shown. This has to be explained, and then it can be used immediately. They don't have to be able to do this over and over. Obviously, the more you use it, the better you would get at it. No question about it.
Right.
People margins, the margins that they use. Most people, come in from the left side a little bit. They'll come in from the right side a little bit. I show them a case of a handwriting from somebody in the Arizona State Prison where there were absolutely no margins on either side. This person cannot live in our society by societal rules. He has no rules, no boundaries. So he just, he was himself. If you have X's on the writing line, the baseline, it shows the person is thinking about death. It could be yours, or it could be somebody else's or his own. But he's thinking about it. When I say an X, it's just not a plain letter X. It means that the ending stroke of one letter went down, and the beginning stroke of another letter came up, and they crossed right at the baseline. We call a baseline or the writing line. One other story I have for you. I was writing, I spoke in Dallas, Texas, around that area. The flight from Dallas to New York is about 4 hours, and I was beat. I had just attended a conference for 3 days. My mind was played, and I sat down next to a gentleman about 28 years old. He was going away from his family, which he really didn't want to do. He was doing 3 weeks of training for his company. So I said, look, give me 3/4 of a page of cursive writing. I'll tell you all about yourself. I said, I don't feel like doing any work. I'm just going to relax and have some fun here. He said, all right. So he gave me 3/4 of a page because it's a percentage game. There's 10 things about somebody I can tell. I can tell about somebody just from the letter T. So if it's one of those things, like if he has sarcasm, when you do the T-bar cross, it's going to come to a sharp point on the right side. That means it's sarcastic. So if I'm looking for one of those characteristics, one of those traits out of the 10, I now have to look at every T that he made on the 3/4 of the writing. So then I add them up. If it's 30% this way, 70% that way, it gives me a more accurate reading of what that person's personality is like. So anyway, so I started going through. I think I went up with over 40 traits on this person. I showed him physical injuries, blew him away, and then I said, okay. He was just astounded at what I could tell about him from the writing. Then I said, okay, we're going to go a little deeper now. And I told him, first of all, I didn't ask him if he was sexually abused. I said to him, have you gotten professional help for the sexual abuse? There was dead silence for 10 to 15 seconds, and then I started saying, oh, Baier, you should have kept your freaking mouth shut. And he turned to me, he had tears in his eyes, and he said, yes. I said, you need to go back. It is all over your writing. And you can tell if somebody was sexually abused. It's in the letter Y. You can tell, by the way, you can tell all about somebody's sex life with the letter Y too, but we don't have time to go into that. But if somebody has been sexually abused, the letter Y is going to do the normal Y at the top. Then it's going to go straight down below the line, or it might be at a slight angle, but then it's going to create a sharp point. It's going to go up to the left, and then it's going to come straight across to the right. It's going to look like the blade of a dagger at the bottom of the Y. And that'll tell you that the person was sexually abused or that they are a sexual abuser. But there is sexual abuse there. If someone's a pedophile, they're going to create a figure 8 in the bottom of the Y. Now, the figure 8 is going to be totally below the line. It may go down and around and come back up to your right side of the Y, and it may come down and around and come back up to the left side of the Y. But almost all pedophiles have that. Now, you cannot call somebody a pedophile because you see one characteristic. You have to have numerous characteristics, and they have to be in the writings numerous times in order to do that. So anyway, training law enforcement is very good that way, too, with pedophiles. And Mr. Lehue also has I believe, a book or a CD or some training on it if anybody of the writers wanted to find that out. I'm trying to think of what else here I can most help your listeners with. I would like to maybe go in about law enforcement a little bit more on the statement analysis aspect.
Yeah.
Because it really can help them. If someone is doing like anonymous, or let's say graffiti, almost all graffiti at the bottom of their Y has a crescent that circles around. So the Y would come straight down, then it would go to the left and create a semicircle ending almost below or a little to the left of where the Y came down. That's called a felon's claw. It looks like an eagle's claw to the left of the bottom of the Y, where they stopped and then came around in a circle. Mm-hmm. Almost all graffiti has that. They are very controlling. They expect you to do exactly what they want you to do, and you can't really trust them. And when we talk about statement analysis, most suspects, if it's a lie, will use the number 3 randomly, which means how many people attacked you? Oh, there was 3 people. Well, is it possible that there really were 3? Yes, it is. But the more you get into the story, it raises a red flag. When people don't know what to say, they use 3. And it's just a red flag. And when you get hundreds of red flags, here's another one. When you ask them to write out this story, anybody that's truthful, 25% of the writing, so you can count up all of the lines all the way down the sheet of paper that they use to tell a story, 25% of it will be the introduction of the story on how they were mugged or whatever. 50% of it will be the actual guts of what happened, and 25% of the story will be an ending, closing out. Those people who are lying in the story will have, the percentages will not be correct. They may be 35% in the beginning, maybe 35% in the middle, or maybe 60% in the middle, but the trailing off will be only 10%. So that's a red flag too, because it's almost exactly, if you count the lines, that's just the way people react when they're telling the truth. People who do anonymous writings also, the first thing that first of all, people don't want to be able to be recognized. So they want to say nasty things about somebody at work, but they don't want anybody to know they wrote it. So they're going to change their writings. That's what they're doing. They disguise writings. And the first thing they're going to change is the first letter of the first name and the first letter of their last name and make it totally different. Then they're going to change the slant. If they have a slant that goes way to the right, they're going to make it exactly opposite. It's going to go way to the left. But I found in my profession as a document examiner, it's actually quite funny to me now, they are the only people that help me solve my case. I'll get the writings in, and I'll get the story from them that, this anonymous writings, I'm being accused of this or whatever. I did not write that. Look at the first letter of my first name, that S. I never make my S like that. Look at the first letter of my last name, the L. Look at that. Look how drastically different it is. So they're helping me solve the case. And they're the only ones that do that. Nobody ever does that. It's only the people with the disguised writing, the anonymous writings, trying to prove to you or convince you that they didn't write it. So immediately I think, I guess they wrote it. But, I still have to prove it. And I have had many times, I don't know about many, definitely sometimes, I'll first get the question writing, a question signature in. I'll get all of the known writings in. And the way I do an examination, and I'll put the question writing on a sheet of paper, and I'll put all of the knowns straight down a sheet of paper, so I have them all in line. And that's the way I like to do it. Some people like to do it side by side, whatever, it doesn't matter. When I'm when I'm looking at that signature, sometimes this first second I look at it to do the examination, it takes me usually an hour and a half to set up a case to be able to examine it. Once I start, sometimes I've said to myself, oh my God, this thing is totally different. I can't believe this is even going to trial. There's no way this guy wrote this. After I do my examination for 3 or 4 hours, and I go through the sometimes 35 different things we have to look at to do an examination, I come out there, the son of a gun, he wrote it. He disguised his writing. And you can tell. It is our most difficult type of work that we have to do for document examination now. But we can tell. It's very difficult to disguise your writing from your own writing habits completely forever. And if I get it like a whole note or a letter, I start from the end and work forward, because you can't continue with somebody else's writing habits other than your own without having yours interject. And sometimes it really gets funny. I had one, I was actually on the floor in my office at about 6:40 in the morning, rolling around, laughing my brains out. It's a good thing my wife leave for work early, because people would have thought I was a loony bin. I had a receipt, and the story was, the guy that hired me said, this guy says, I wrote a receipt out. I did not write a receipt out. It's not even any type of a receipt that I use. So he told the guy that said, I already paid it. I got a receipt. You gave me a receipt. You should send it to me. Make a photocopy and send it to me. So the guy put it on a copy machine. It was about the size of a check, right in the middle of a photocopy machine. So now you had an 8.5 by 11 sheet of white paper with this receipt, a print, in the middle. Well, when the guy wrote it, he had writing that went off of the actual receipt into the white area, at the top, on the right, and at the bottom. That would mean, and I don't know if I can give you a picture of this, it would actually mean that the ink from that receipt had to be suspended in midair. It was like I started laughing my brains out. How can he, some people are not real good at forging. Anyway, and it's stories. We can have a lot of fun with this. It was really my goal that you could really take some of the things that I said and actually use them. Check out your check tonight if you have a magnifying glass. Or if you could scan it into the computer and enlarge it on the computer. That might work too. Look for lying in writing if you definitely know somebody lied. And look for those roller coasters. The arc up and along the line. The arc could also go down and come back up. The differences in pressure in the paper. I'm telling you, you can look at a check and see if it's a genuine check with the things that I stated. And it is really my intent that you folks could get something out of this. And I do think, as George said, you probably will never look at handwriting the same again, any type, whether it's handwriting analysis or whether it's document examination.
Bob, you, and I say this, you are a scary man. Yeah, that's been said. And also, when my kids were when they were younger and going to school, I'd go to back to school night, and the teacher would write things on the board. I'd come home to tell the kids all about them. It's, you guys are in trouble. You know how you forget your homework and you lie to them and stuff? They're not buying it. You're going to have to do it right this year. That kind of stuff. You can tell all about the teacher from that. So it's been a lot of fun, but I really don't. The only time I do the handwriting analysis now is when I'm training law enforcement, because I really can help them. And I have had law enforcement tell me it was the finest training they've had in 25 years, 35 years. They wish they had this when they started their careers. It can help them. It saves them so much time. Yes, I can see where that would happen. Could you answer me a question? Polygraph tests are not admissible in a court of law, but yet handwriting analysis, once the judge determines whether it qualifies or not, is. What's I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but why one and not the other?
Yeah, I got to clarify two things here, and I'll do it quickly because we're running out of time. First of all, polygraph tests are allowed in court, in federal courts. And number two, handwriting analysis people are almost always not allowed to testify in court, only forensic document examiners.
Wow.
You can be I'm considered an expert in both fields, but if I went to court, if somebody is just a handwriting analysis person, personality profiling, they would not be admissible as an expert. Only document examiners, because it's been proven that, first of all, your entire legal system is based on the fact that no two people sign their name exactly the same twice. Mm-hmm. Your entire financial system is based on that fact. So it has also been proven that we can determine whether somebody did or did not write a document, a signature, much more readily than somebody off the street, because we have had training. We look for the handwriting habits of the writer. So I think that's your main reason.
This has been absolutely fascinating. What if someone needs your help? How can they contact you?
They could call my toll-free number, 888-460-3828, or they can go to my website, which is a long one. I'm very sorry. And you're going to want to put this in favorites. You're not going to want to leave this all the time. www.expertdocumentexaminerweb.com.
Expertdocumentexaminerweb.com.
Yep. And thank you for asking that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because we have listeners from all over the world, and who knows who's listening now and who's going to listen later. So they need it. If someone would want to become or get into the field that you're in, what would they do?
I would suggest they have to go for training. They'd have to attend a school type situation. There's two different schools. One is the International School of Forensic Document Examination. It's a little bit more costly. It's usually a 2-year program. And the other one is you should contact Miss Catherine Copenhaver, Katherne. Copenhaver is Koppenhaver. She has also a school. And you would have to just train.
Good. You know, all my life, and I'll be 65 in September, all my life I always thought that was a line on the check that you signed your name on. I had no idea.
Look at it. It's awesome when you first see it, and now you can brag to everybody you know about it, too.
Yeah.
That's no line. Look here on my magnifying glass. You get a couple laughs. Maybe you get a free drink at the bar. Bring a check and a big magnifying glass and bet somebody.
That would probably work.
Yeah, it might.
That is fascinating. It has all been very enjoyable, Bob. I mean that.
I hope your listeners had some fun, and I hope they really got some solid meat out of it as well.
Yes.
That was my goal.
Yes, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of folks talk about this to other people, and I think the Google search page will light up, and Bing, and all the other search engines, because this is a fascinating subject that you took us through, and I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
It was my pleasure, and it was fun.
Thank you, Bob. Let's stay in touch, and I'd like to have you come back again at a later date.
Oh, that'd be great.
All righty. And maybe we can even work out a seminar or a webinar, as they call it nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Then I could do visuals.
Yes.
Oh, that would be so much better.
All right. Let's stay in touch and keep our fingers crossed.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was very, very interesting. I'll be back in about 32. Is it 32? Charlie, how? Yeah, there you go. Charlie throwing stuff at me again tonight. I'll be back in about 32 seconds.
We'll take you from where you are to where you want to be. 'Cause radio works. Radio works. We'll take you from where you are to where you want to be. 'Cause radio works. Radio works.
And radio, it do work. That's not proper English, but radio do work. Guaranteed. I'll tell you what, it was a delight to have Mr. Bob Baier with us tonight, who is a handwriting expert and analysis, and it is just so intriguing. I won't look at my own signature the same anymore, and I'm sure you won't either, nor will I look at other people's signature quite the same. In fact, I usually don't pay attention to other people's signature, but somehow I think I'm going to start paying attention to it and looking at signatures in a different light, and you probably will too. If you want to go to his, let me find it here again. If you want to go to his website, go to expertdocumentexaminerweb.com, and there you can read all about it and a lot of things that you may need. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but later on. A lot of things you may need is right there. So you look up Mr. Bob Baier. Thank you, Bob. It was quite interesting. It was enjoyable. It was fascinating. It was fascinating to me, and I hope it was to you. Listen, if you listen to the show tonight live or if you're going to listen, or if you're listening to it later, because every show is archived, and you find this fascinating, or you have a question or whatever, email me, George C.E. at Comcast.net, and I'll make sure that Mr. Baier gets it, and he can answer your question or your comment, whatever it might be. 302-497-3414 is the call-in number, and if you want to call in and say hello, you just help yourself. 302-497-3414. There's a song that I found along the way. Charlie really found it. He's the song looker and getter. That's not good English either, but you know, this is the funny farm. That's the way it is. He found a song. I'd rather go blind, by Just Another Guy. Just another cat. That's what it is. Just another cat with a guitar.
Something told me it was over when I saw you and her talking. Something deep down in my soul said right when I saw you and her walking around. I would rather go blind, boy, than to see you walk away from me, child. You see, I love you so much that I don't want to leave you, baby. And most of all, I don't want to be free. I was just sitting here thinking about your kiss and your warm embrace. When a reflection in the glass I held to my lips now revealed the tears on my face. And baby, I'd rather go blind than to see you walk away from me, child. And baby,
Oh, yeah. I'd rather go blind. Just another cat with a guitar. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, roamings, and countrymen, this is the portion of the show where we allow the cloud of insanity to descend upon us, and whatever happens, happens. This is the part of the show where we challenge you to kick back your chair, whatever you might be sitting in. Don't do this in your automobile, though. Whatever you might be sitting in, kick it back, let your hair down, and get with it. Don't worry about what people says, what they think, and that old, that raised, hairy eyebrow that some people look at you with. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about none of that, because you're amongst friends right here at the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. Hey, listen, Charlie and I was digging around, and one of our goals here on the George Espinlove Show is to reach out to artists that are really working hard and that are making a mark. And we have had some fantastic artists with us as guests, and we highlighted their music and so on and so forth. We found another one this morning, and we've been in contact with this particular individual, and hopefully we have given him a date, and hopefully he'll be able to be with us. And I'll tell you when he will be with us, when he tells us when he can be with us. Does that make sense? I hope so. But nonetheless, we found this morning. United Back in the Nation. That's the name of a song by Pick Studios. United Back in the Nation. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, because it coincides with what was said on last night's show. United Back in the Nation. Pick Studios.
Another home in foreclosure, another family on the street. Another worker gets the notice, his job was sent out overseas. What's happened to our country, and who's the one that let us down? We don't need to point the finger, we just need things to turn around. United we stand, but divided we will fall. We need to stand together and make things right for one and all. In a world of uncertainty and all its devastation, it's time to put United back into the nation. Well, we had our share of trouble, Lord, we had our share of pain. But the pain now has doubled, life is harder to maintain. While families sit and wonder, Lord, how will they make it through? Well, we'll turn to God in heaven, we'll put our trust back into you. United we stand, but divided we will fall. just stand together, make things right for one and all. In a world of uncertainty and all its devastation, it's time to put united back into the nation.
United Back in the Nation by Pick Studios. I want to give a great big shout out, and I'm not so sure that he may be listening because he is in the hospital tonight, but I want to give a great big shout out to our friend Wade Bryan. He had surgery this morning, and I see that he has sent a message. He's out and made out good, very sore and in pain. But here is to a new, healthier me. Thank you for all the love and support you show. He's at St. Francis Hospital in room 601. So hurry up and get recovered, buddy. Get recuperated and come on home. And we're praying for you. That's Mr. Wade Bryan. So thank you for your prayers and for all of your concern. And I know that he's going to recover just fine. Hey, Lou, if you're listening tonight, give me a call, 302-497-3414. Lou Balls, calling Lou Balls out of New Jersey. Give me a call, 302-497-3414. It's been ages since I've heard from you, buddy. So if you're listening tonight, give me a call. If you listen later, then give me a call anyhow. You know what I'm saying? All right. I was looking for something else, but we're going back to Pick Studios again, and we're going to play some more of his music. And here's one right here. That was then. This is now.
Well, I remember a time when I held your hand in mine. That was then. This is now. Well, I was happy as I could be, just thinking about you and me. That was then. This is now. Back then we would always be together, and back then our love would see us through. But now all I can do is remember. That was then. This is now. The way you looked into my eyes, you made my whole world come alive. That was then. This is now. My heart belonged to you with a love that was always true. That was then, this is now. Back then we would always be together, and back then our love would see us through. But now all I can do is remember that was then, this is now. Oh, but that was then, this is now.
That was then, this is now, Pick Studios. Hey, listen, I want to make this announcement again. I made it last night, and I'll continue to make it until Friday night. If you're down in Athens, Georgia way, if you're around, in, going through, anywhere close, listen to me. On Friday, June 28th, that is this coming Friday at 8 p.m., Rick Fowler Band will be with Beverly Guitar Watkins at the Melting Point in Athens, Georgia. Friday night at 8 p.m. Doors open at 6. And the ticket prices are, if I could read it straight, can't see with my glasses, can't see with them off, but we'll try anyhow. General admission is $8 and $10 day of the show. Reserve tickets for 4, $64. Reserve table for 2, $32. Okay. Rick said, we look forward to our show with the legendary Beverly Guitar Watkins at the Melting Point in Athens, Georgia. The Rick Fowler Band will be both performing our regular show as well as playing with Beverly on her sets. So it will be a blast for us. Friday night, this coming Friday night, June 28th at 8 p.m. at the Melting Point in Athens, Georgia. Rick Fowler Band with Beverly Guitar Watkins. So if you're anywhere in, around, close to, or going through Athens, Georgia, stop. Do yourself a favor, because you know, we've had Rick on here with us, and they just get it done. That's all there is to it. So do that. Do that and do yourself a great big favor.
we start you see things happen this way? It's no one's fault. The love, it will come and go. It happens sometime. But when will you learn? It's just a state of mind. Now things, they may change, but your heart still remains the same. The love, it will come and go like the wind. Now we all need somebody, someone to call our own, and a warm, sweet voice to say I love you in a gentle tone. Through times in our life, the rain will fall. Can't you see things happen this way? It's no one's fault. The love, it will come and go. It happens sometimes. But when will we learn? It's just a state of mind. Through times in our life, the rain will fall. Can't you see things happen this way? It's no one's fault. The love, it will come and go. It happens sometimes. But when will we learn? It's just a state of mind.
State of Mind, Pick Studios. I would encourage you to be with me tomorrow night, Wednesday night, right smack dab in the middle of the week. Most of us call it Hump Day. But be with us tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Spreaker.com. We're going to change gears somewhat tomorrow night, and this is what we're going to do. If you didn't listen to the Unshackled program Sunday morning, please go back to the archives and listen to it, because that's when we played part one of Roger Walkwitz's story. It's a true story of a real-life individual that in the end becomes unshackled. And, well, if you tune in tomorrow night, you're going to listen to part two of it. You'll be able to put the two together and have a complete story. This is a real dramatized radio program that depicts and does the world a whole lot of good. It's produced by Pacific Garden Mission out of Chicago, Illinois. So tomorrow night we're going to go in a different direction. We're going to play part two of the Roger Walkwitz story from Unshackled. And before and after, we're going to have one of those Gospel Jubilee nights again. So if you like good, old time, new time gospel music, then you join us tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Spreaker.com. Thursday night, well, we got it kind of up, and we're in a hold pattern. How's that for Thursday night? Friday night, we don't usually tell you what's going on Friday until we get here or just about showtime, because Friday night is always a little bit freaky around here, and of course we wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I'm saying? So tomorrow night, we're going to have us a good old Gospel Jubilee along with part 2 of Unshackled, the Roger Walkwitz story. So if you didn't listen to part 1, go back between now and tomorrow evening and listen to part 1. All of our shows are archived. You can listen to them morning, noon, or night. They're available for download free of charge. You can download one, some, or all. So please take advantage of that and tell family members and friends and neighbors and anyone that will listen to you to go into the archives and listen to the George Espinlaub Show. Here's one that's going to get your feet tapping, fingers snapping, head bobbing, and most of all, when all that happens, your booty has to follow behind, and you'll be shaking it too. Oh yeah, this is knee slapping music too. Come on, see if you get into the rhythm of things. Try it. Bet you can do it. Tell me out there, do you want to hear more of that? All right. Oh, yeah. Did I tell you? All right. Well, yep. Charlie's down off his box, and he was out here in the middle of the floor. And, I mean, he was just flat out getting it, and he wants to do it again. We're going to do that, Charlie. But did I tell you, we have another packed-out house here at the Funny Farm Radio Studios. They're inside. It is jam-packed in here, and it is jam-packed on the outside. And remember, they come from all over our world. They even fly in, because we have our own airport here, they even fly in from your world into our world. Many come here, but few leave. We don't hold them hostage. They like it here. And they found out for themselves that it's fun being a full-fledged loon. And we would invite you to become a full-fledged loon here at the Funny Farm. I'll tell you the things that you don't have to do. You don't have to purchase anything. You don't have to sign anything. All you have to do is tune in to the George Espinlaub Show Monday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. and come on in. By you doing that, you signify to us that you are interested in becoming a full-fledged loon. You'll like it. Try it. Try it. Express yourself and have some fun. So we welcome you to the family. And bring other people. Bring some of your family members. Bring some of your friends. Bring some people that you don't even know. They'll like it too. So, come on in. Where was we going to go next, Charlie? That's right. Charlie wanted to play Backwoods Stomp again. Yeah, right. By Pick Studios. Here we go. Now listen, slap those knees, stomp them feet, snap your fingers, bob your head, and shake your booty. You can do all that at the same time and get in the rhythm. They had it going out there on the dance floor. I mean, you could hear it. They were with the beat. They were with the rhythm. Let's do it again and see if we can do it even better. They got it going on. Yeah, they do. Once again, I want to say thank you to Mr. Bob Baier, who is with us tonight. He is a handwriting expert. He is an analyst. He trains law enforcement people. And he is a very, very busy man. He spends much time in court. Very interesting, very interesting. Although, and I say this out of fun, he is a very scary man because when he looks at your signature, he sees all kind of things that we have no idea that he sees. But thank you, Mr. Bob, for being with us tonight. It was indeed a privilege to have you. It was an honor, sir, and I thank you very much. And perhaps in the future we can set up a seminar where we can have Mr. Bob back and we can actually see him in person through a seminar, or what do they call it, a webinar, through a webinar, and we can see how he analyzes and does these things with people's handwritings and so on and so forth. That would be very interesting. So keep your fingers crossed. And hopefully we can get that done in the near future. I want to say thank you. Thank you very, very much for Pick Studios for allowing us to play some of his music. And hopefully he'll be with us live on the show in the very near future. It just seems that I'm letting something out, and I can't remember what it is. Of course, that's par for the course with Espinlaub. There was something, and I'll think about it the minute we go off the air. But nonetheless, it has been fun. It has really been fun. Join me tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for a good old gospel jubilee and part 2 of the Roger Walkwitz story. So tell your friends, family, neighbors, anyone that'll listen, tell them to tune in tomorrow night on the George Espinlaub Show. There's something I'm forgetting, and I can't remember what it is. The only thing I'm remembering is that I'm forgetting something. But nonetheless, I see the caboose. It's coming around the corner. Charlie, we're going to have to jump out of here. So get ready. No face plants. None whatsoever. They hurt. So, yeah, right. Quit throwing them things at me. Oh, mischievous little fella. I'm telling you, he is. But he's a lot of fun, and we appreciate Charlie. And I just don't know what life would be without him running the board and doing all those things that he does, even the mischievous things. Well, ladies and gentlemen, gotta go. Train's coming, caboose is coming. We gotta jump. For all you that are listening, and it might be nighttime, I trust that you'll have a great night. If it's already daytime where you're at, then you go ahead and have yourself a fine day. But regardless of where you are and what it is, till tomorrow night, same time, same station. This is George Espinlaub challenging you. Be kind one to another. Stay safe. Don't you dare take any wooden nickels. Remember, Grandma Straier's got her eyeball on you. Until tomorrow night. Have fun. Good night, everybody.